have defected to the people, to protesters. And the other ones who are economically, socially, tribally speaking, are connected and interlinked with the regime. And they know that if the regime is going to go down, Gaddafi to name one, they're going to go down with him. So they are hardcore committed thugs, just like him, and they wouldn't mind going it all the way. They feel that they've got their back against the wall, so they have no chance and no other choice but to fight to the end. But they are minority, I would say.
Rashid Kikia, we heard just a moment ago Ali Ebrahimi talk about the role that Gaddafi's family plays in these militias. What do we know about this role? It would appear that each son in the family, those who are active in the family politically, have their own little militias.
Yes, first of all, I would like to thank you for having me in here, and we welcome your two guests as well. Unfortunately, yes, Gaddafi does not trust no one. And the only people that he will trust, I guess, is his own sons. Plus, Gaddafi played a very, very, very big role with one of his closest people to him, which his name is Khalifa Hafez. And he was really, really on taking care of the affairs around the tribes in Libya. Gaddafi's number one is he's trying to get the loyalty for all of them to him. And basically, what we're looking at, and as far as I know personally, which my contact with other tribes, they are very, very understanding what kind of person he is. Plus, if we see even on the army itself, it has so many different tribes in it. And that's only because he wants to make a control that his family, that is the one who's holding the big positions. Though even some of the people that with him, they've taken a role, but they don't have a very effective role like his sons do.
Faraj Najam, is there any reason to question the loyalty of even these militias, even those that belong to the family, the Gaddafi family? Is there any way that they could perhaps change their loyalties, change their allegiance and join the protesters?
Indeed, they would. I mean, if we were to give them a ladder to climb down on, they would. I mean, we've seen that in Benghazi, for example, a section of the Gaddafi tribe did denounce him and did distance themselves from him and his regime and his evil deeds. So the majority of the Gaddafi, they just don't know where to go, and they are really squeezed and between a rock and a hard place. And therefore, we will see, we wait and see what happens to the Gaddafi in and around Sirte and where they're going to go, because even though some of them have been saying that they are in support of the regime, but I think there's a good section of them, they wanted to go in the way that most Libyans have done, and this, they should be encouraged to do so.
Ali Ebrahimi, what about rivalry between the sons themselves? We understand that there are tensions between family members in the Gaddafi family. Is that likely to affect what is happening right now?
I think absolutely. We were all tremendously surprised by the statement from Saif al-Islam on Sunday, where he appeared to have essentially chosen his father over his principles of reform. And that was extremely shocking, since he'd put his head above the parapet for many years now as a reformer, as an advocate of democracy and of human rights. And he seemed to be backpedaling and essentially backing his father's overwhelmingly disproportional response to the protests in Benghazi. So I don't know that we've heard the last from him, because he's of course the one safety valve that Gaddafi has left, which would be to put Saif al-Islam to the fore and to table some sort of genuine reform movement. But I do believe that the sell-by date for that has passed. I think we may hear something from Saif al-Islam in a last-ditch attempt, perhaps, in the coming days. But I don't know that ordinary Libyans are going to accept that at this stage.
What about the son that you mentioned at the outset of the program, Khamis? Where does he fit into this?
Yeah. Well, he's the younger son. He's about my age. He's been known as a rising star within the security forces. And as I mentioned, he is said to command his own brigade, a highly loyal and very well-trained brigade of ideologically committed individuals. So I think that we can assume that he'd be making some sort of last stand with his father, and that he's someone that his father would very much rely on. Because let's not forget, while Saif al-Islam was very much touted as his father's successor for years, about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago that changed, and Khamis seemed to be the rising star within the Gaddafi family.
Rashid, let's talk for a moment about foreign hired forces used by Gaddafi, the so-called mercenaries. Now, they're playing a key and it looks like a very brutal role in suppressing these protests. We understand they're mainly from Chad and Niger, but they could be from other countries as well, in West Africa as well as East Africa. Some of them are believed to be from Sudan as well. They, of course, would be motivated purely by money, so I would imagine it would be very difficult to persuade them to change sides in this. So ultimately, do they hold power in Libya at this stage?
Unfortunately, no, they don't. The unfortunate happened in Libya is, this is how it tells you that Libya is united. So he has to go and find these, I don't know what to call them, but and they killed just cold-blooded all Libyans. This is Gaddafi. This is his dream. This is the one. He's crazy. He thinks like he's gonna be the one. He owns the world. Basically, he got these people, bring them all the way to Libya to kill Libyans, and he's naming himself the King of Africa or King of the Kings. Or these people, they will be arrested soon, and in Libya, it will be very clear. The unfortunate part, this has happened, and the only things that I wish from the international, all the international countries, especially the United Kingdom and United States, at least to put on bargain. Let's to watch all these planes that had actually landed in Maitiga airport and bringing these militias down there.
Okay. Faraj Najam, as Rashid pointed out there, the recruitment of these mercenaries was part of a very deliberate strategy by Colonel Gaddafi. It's not something that started last week or a month ago. In fact, this started many years ago in the 1980s. When did it begin, and how large a force of mercenaries does the colonel have?
Well, we don't know the exact size and the nature of such recruitment, but one thing that we're aware of, that this is part of the investment network that Gaddafi has extended all over the world. He's been going to Africa and he's been offering all sorts of investments and money and so on to these despotic, often African leaders, in return for all sorts of loyalties, you know, sometimes for political conversion to Islam, loyalty to Africa. And this network, it does not just stop with Africa, it goes beyond this. I think it goes to Latin America, Asia, and Europe as well. We understand that some of these core elites were trained, ironically, in Pakistan as well as in India in the same time. So Gaddafi has used the wealth that he has at his disposal